had to make a decision. Do we move to DC? Do we move to Maryland? Do we move to Virginia? And even within those districts, which community within those districts, and this is pre-internet, so it was not an easy decision for her to figure that out. So that's some of the types of systems that we're building in the K-12ology space. We have a simulation product that does simulation and training.
And you use open source technology a lot, from what I understand.
Extensively.
What is the appeal to open source, or the appeal of open source technology?
There are tremendous values to open source. There's the old saying, follow the money. Mm-hmm. And if all the big boys are putting a lot of money into open source, then you should pay attention. First of all, contrary to popular belief, open source is probably the most secure technology on the planet. And for a very simple reason, there's simply more eyes looking at that technology. When IBM builds a piece of technology, only IBM employees sees the guts of it, if you will. It's proprietary. They're the only ones. Ever so often you'll see in the news, 25 years later or whatever, Microsoft has finally fixed the bug that existed since 1980 something. Well, because only the few 100,000 Microsoft employees see that code. With open source, millions of people all around the planet are seeing that code, and therefore any bugs, any viruses, any issues with it are identified very, very quickly. So it's very secure. It's very inexpensive. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, well, as an entrepreneur, what is one particular principle you always adopt?
Well, first of all, I'm a contrarian. I don't like competition.
Let's talk about that.
So whatever people are doing, I usually run in the opposite direction.
And that has worked for you.
Well, MQ lived on that premise.
Well, that you mentioned that, Neil, your wife is an integral part of your business operation, sort of a part.
Always been, no question.
And there is this rule of thumb, right? It's a rule, or certainly a thumb, that people say, you know what, stay away from doing business with family, doing business with friends, and so on and so forth. This has obviously worked well for you. What is your secret?
My secret, I got lucky.
Is that what it is? Luck?
Fantastic wife. I'm sorry. There's no secret other than God has blessed me with a fantastic wife.
Yes.
And when you put God first and you fear God, it becomes very clear to me that I'm not that good about anything. My ego, I'm trying my best to keep egos in check.
Gotcha. Is there the buck stops or the decisions stops with me principle, or you come to a decision together?
Oh no, there's some things in our lives that the buck stops with me. There's some decisions the buck stops with Sonia.
Awesome.
If Sonia says the kid's going to the doctor, the kid's going to the doctor. I have no say in that, But there are decisions when I say this is where we're going. That's where we go. And,
what is one thing you would say you've learned from entrepreneurship that have changed your approach to business and even your personal life?
Words are important.
What is that?
Words are very important. Mm-hmm. And so I try my best to choose my words, because words, words create things. I recall what I didn't tell you was when I started M-Cubed, I actually had a partner, Ty Austin. Mm-hmm. And we started it, as I mentioned, in Delaware. So one of the rituals that we had was annually we would drive the hour from Wilmington, Delaware to Atlantic City to the casinos and spend a couple of dollars in the slot machines and, just bond and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this one juncture, we were going through a very difficult time. M-Cube was hemorrhaging. We're really struggling to find customers. And so as we were making our sabbatical down to Atlantic City, I recall saying to Ty, you know what? I'm going to go to the casino. I'm going to win $1 million and solve all our problems. Of course, 2 minutes at the casinos, I lost all my money, But the second part of our ritual was that we always stopped at the White Castle on the way back.
Mm.
That's a New Jersey thing. So we'd stop at the White Castle. And as we're sitting there having a burger, I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this. I guess I'm going to have to make this $1 million the hard way. And Ty said to me, Neil, did you hear what you just said? I said, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to make it a hard way. So he said, so you mean to tell me it's easier to go to the casinos and throw a few coins in the slot machine and pull pull the lever than to put together a detailed business plan to make $1 million? And from that point, I always choose my words carefully.
How would you describe working alongside your wife?
Well, it's easy, first of all, because we've got our lanes. My job has always been vision mission. Mm-hmm. Sonia has been more on the operational side. She's managed a number of our customer relationship projects. She's out in the field with the customer, dealing with the problems that I create.
Oh God! She out the fire.
So, yeah, she deals with the real issues in terms of keeping projects on time and within the ridiculous budgets that I in marketing come up with, et cetera. So it's easy from that perspective.
And I mean, it's a partnership and so on. But what have you personally learned from that experience working alongside her?
Listen, man, you got to have good people around you.
Yeah.
And
okay.
One of the things, and I'm very grateful for, is that people are surprised when I say that from the day that we've been married, we've had one checking account.
Wow.
We don't have multiple checking accounts. I've got my account and she's got her account. So there's never been a fight over money. She knows what the money is. Here it is. In fact, our accountants never send the monies to me. It's like Sonia gets a check. And so, I mean, you just have to, you just got to trust people, and you just have to have people around you that trust you and you trust. And when you make a decision, you can make a whole lot of wrong decisions, but no one should come back and say, well, you did it on purpose, or you did it to hurt me, or you did it for anything except that I
decide and live with it.
Absolutely.
Another one of your lines or principles come to mind. You talked about starting over and starting smarter. Starting Ocular IT, you consider that starting over, Neil?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
There's a million ideas out there that I like to pursue.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not the type that retires. For me, experiencing all aspects of life at every age is just as important. I'm not the type that says, well, when I get to XYZ point, I want to do this or want to do that. I do it every year. Mm-hmm. So my dad God bless him, is 85 and he's still got his little business running. So I will not retire. So having said that, it was just what's next on the table that is exciting that I think I can, create something interesting out of.
Well,
And but coming out of that, it's clear that 33 years, 34 years, whatever it was of MQ, there's a lot of still hard knocks
that,
going
that
on
is
there.
indeed.
So there's a lot of things I know I could do much smarter this time. So, I'm starting over and I get a rush of dealing with the startup issues of putting together the concept and the ideas and finding the first customers
Uh-huh.
and all those things, but doing it a little smarter this time.
How challenging is that usually, finding the first customer or finding someone to believe in you?
It's hard.
Huh?
It's hard.
It's hard. Is a track
It-
record, I
it- it-
presume. Sorry, go ahead.
It's old. You've got to go through 99 no's to get to that one yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Okay. So even with a
it's
track,
just that's
even with a good track record, it is still very difficult for you. That's what you're saying.
I don't call it difficult. It just is.
Just is. I like that. Just is.
Yeah, it just is what it is.
It is what it is. I like that.
That's entrepreneurship.
Yes, it is.
It's not that's what it is. That's what you do. You knock on doors. People slam doors in your face. People say no, and
What is
you
one
learn that you go to the next one.
what is one business challenge you overcame along the way that was a turning point in your career?
Oh, obviously there are a million, but one of the important ones for me was, there's an old saying, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And the reality is that in my early entrepreneurial career, because I'm coming from technology, I saw all problems and all solutions from a technological perspective. And I lost a lot of business opportunities because of that. So I actually worked real hard to lose my technological edge.
Really?
Become more centric. Absolutely. People sell ideas and people buy ideas and people buy from people they know, et cetera, et cetera. And the customer decides whether a project is successful or it's a failure. It's not, trust me, I've got a lot of projects that were technologically sound that were dead on arrival. Or a piece of crap that the customer said they were great.
I want to open up that concept a little more, a little wider, about losing your technological edge.
Sure.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that for those of us who want to be entrepreneurs?
Well, let me give you a specific example. Fairly early, I had an opportunity to sell a solution to American Express. And this is back in the days of IBM mainframes, and we were selling an IBM mainframe solution. And I, found a customer, brought IBM to the table to participate as, depth and breadth of capabilities. And we mapped out, meaning MQ mapped out a solution for American Express. And the solution, and now we're back around 1984. And so the solution was about $500,000. And it was technologically superior solution. And the short answer is we lost the business. IBM kicked us out of the way and sold the customer a solution that was about $2.5 million.
Oh.
Of course, I was upset because it was my customer, it was my idea, it was I brought IBM to the table. And so, I got a chance to sit down with the IBM rep and we talked about it. And he said, Neil, listen, when you're dealing with a customer, you've got to deal with all of that customer's needs, not just their technical needs. This customer wanted something that his pride was looking for.
Oh.
And so as long as the solution that they're looking for can do the job, then you sell it. It doesn't have to be the most technologically efficient solution. It doesn't have to be the most cost efficient, because you don't know when he gets on the golf course with his buddies, he may want to talk about, how big a system he has and, how many floors it takes up, etc. And that's all part of the decision-making process. Oh. Unfortunately, that's humanity. Mm-hmm. And so it became clear to me that I needed to spend more time understanding the human nature. And less time understanding human nature. So at that time I said, okay, I'm not computers. I got to learn more about people.
Is this why you believe so much in the quality of the question is important? How should I put it here? The quality of the question is very important in the way you do business?
Well, I believe the quality of your questions dictates the quality of your life.
The quality.
That's what I believe.
Yes.
Because the reality is we're asked questions all day long, and God gives us answers to those questions.
Yes.
If you listen, you'll get your answer. But if your question is why me, why me, why me, God will tell you why you.
Neil, I want to go to the chat room for a second, right? I just want to go to the chat room. There is Brian who said, what advice do you have for a young entrepreneur? And the second question from Brian is, do you regret selling your company?
Well, the second answer is much quicker. No, I don't regret selling the company. I have no regrets in life. Maybe one, but in general, I don't have regrets. I take a deep breath, I jump, and enjoy the ride. Okay. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it is what it is, and you just go. In terms of starting a company, focus on selling something. There's a new concept out there called an MVP, as it deals with starting a company.
What?
And MVP,
okay.
Not most valuable person, but it is the minimum viable product. Don't try to create the best solution. Create the minimum viable product and get it to market.
What?
And let the customer tell you what good it is, and then you pivot and you tweak it and you bring it back or you throw it away and come up with a brand new product. Because the sooner you find out it's a piece of crap, the sooner you can move on the right path. So deal with, one of the challenges I see today is people spend too much time in my mind, the things that frankly aren't terribly interesting and useful. I know I went through a lot of grief with my own kids who have their own entrepreneurial bents, dealing with things like naming the company. You could spend, back in the day, General Motors used to spend millions of dollars to come up with a new name of the next car. But back in the 1970s, the late 70s, early 80s, they all figured it out. It was a waste of money, so they all started naming their cars after numbers and hieroglyphics, the RJS and the S500 and the E320 and, the Cougar and the Panther, and all those names went away. And it's the same thing today. You know, people spend a whole lot of time in coming up with a perfect name for a company. You know, 2 years ago, I'm being facetious when I say 2 years ago, who would think a company named Amazon would be selling, you know, would be the largest cloud computing platform on the planet today? You know,
And
or so the short answer to the gentleman is get something out as quickly as possible. Let the public, let the consumer tell you what's good about it, what's bad about it, and iterate it. Do it again, make it better, put it back out as quickly as possible. Or if they tell you there's absolutely no hope, find the next idea, because there's a whole lot of ideas out there.
Carl said, told you, and smiles. Carl said it is more about making the emotional connection with the customer from our conversations. And then Carl asked a question: is that development ops?
Well, if you understand your customer, then you understand their pain points, right? You know, it's like your kid at Christmas. You try to be a good Santa Claus, and to be a good Santa Claus, you got to be a very good listener during the year.
Yes.
So you can discern where, you know, what toys, if you will, Santa Claus will be bringing. It's the same with your customers. If you listen carefully in their language, you know, you're going to hear where the problems are, and who better to find solutions to those problems but you. And if it's not your customer today, like I said, start by solving your own problems and sell the solutions to somebody else.
Neil, what are people usually surprised to learn about you when they get to know you?
Surprised to learn about me when they get to know me. That's a tough one.
All right.
That's a tough one. You'll have to ask them.
We could come back to that. We could come back to that. If you were to eavesdrop your parents telling somebody about you, what do you think either of them would say? And we could
my dad, you know, I know there's no question that my dad, first of all, my dad loves all of his kids, not just the 9 that he had with my mom. My dad had 1,000 other kids, and he loves all of his kids. But my dad is excited about the idea and the fact that, like him, I'm an entrepreneur. My siblings, for the most part, are academics and et cetera, et cetera. And they've all done well, with God's grace. We've all done, you know, fairly well. But you know, there's only a couple of us that are entrepreneurial. My mom, man, see, I lost my mom fairly early, so that's a little problematic before all of my kids were here. But you know, my mom would be focusing not so much on me, but on my kids.
On your kids.
My mom she inherited anyone that had any relationship to the Joneses. She would literally take them from their parents and say, come and live with me, because she's a teacher, and she would raise them. You know, so that academics was very important to her.
What milestone are you looking forward to reaching next year?
A lovely, what's it? I need to start counting. Another anniversary with my lovely wife. That's a big one for me. I've got simple goals and objectives. You know, I've got simple goals and objectives. If you're thinking from an entrepreneurial perspective, then, you know, for K-12ology, our first 50 customers, that's a very important milestone. For it's a different business model than for Ocular IT. For Ocular IT, we're looking to have our first maybe 3 or 4 contracts. Like I say, it's a different business model.
Okay. Okay.
So
Let me just go back to the chat room here. Carl, next question was, is that agile? And I guess I should have asked it right after you spoke, but perhaps you know what he's talking about.
I do,
Yeah.
and everything we do is agile. Everything, from our software engineering processes. We build software first of all, and we build solutions around the software that we build. So we build our own products, if you will, and then we build solutions around those products and charge customers a fee for that solution as opposed to selling them specific products.
Yeah.
But those products that we build, we use agile processes to build them.
Okay.
Our business processes are agile. So we use a concept called lean canvassing, and you can Google lean canvas to get an idea of what that's all about. But the short answer is, you can put your business plan on using lean canvassing. You can have your whole business plan on 2 pages.
What?
And so it's a fairly powerful concept. And so, but everything we do is agile. We want feedback as quickly as possible. We try to get everything out to the customer. Everything we do starts with the customer. It doesn't start with a business plan. It doesn't start with, research and development and everything else. We get an idea. We quickly try to come up with a conceptual prototype or something, get it to the customer, get feedback from them, and try to sell it as quickly as possible and make it better.
So the customer, in essence, is the laboratory.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When are you most happy, Lee?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When are you most happy?
I'm always happy. I got problems, but I'm no better. I'm serious, man. Look, this life is too short. I'm always happy. That doesn't mean I don't have problems or challenges. Trust me, I've got challenges every day. But the reality is that you have to be somewhat even keeled about everything. You don't get too excited and you don't get too downcast.
Yes.
As you know that God is there with you through the highs and the lows, and you don't get too cocky about it. You just.
What are you
that's
most?
it.
What are you most thankful for?
That I woke up one day and discovered that, there really is a God.
I like
because that. I ran for a long time.
I like that.
But I'm also thankful that God doesn't only answer your prayers, but He answers other people's prayers. And somebody did a whole lot of prayer.
Neil, if you could go back in time, what would you tell that 14-year-old boy? What would you tell your 14-year-old self? Because
what I learned is that naivety has value.
Naivety
has value.
Yes.
Because if I can go back in time, or if someone was to have said to me back in 1985, Neil, let me tell you where you're going to be and what you're going to go through to get there, I would laugh. I wouldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wouldn't. Because, the journey is such an unbelievable journey. You know, I had a time when MQ was basically bankrupt. Again, long stories, and I'm not going to get too far into it. But the short answer is that I had probably about $250,000 worth of personal debt. The company itself had about $500,000 worth of debt. And I got a customer. And I sold them a solution that was about $2.5 million. And out of that $2.5 million, I owed IBM, I think it was like $840,000 for their technology. I did not pay IBM for almost 2 years, and IBM didn't miss it.
Wow.
Now tell me there isn't a God.
There is a God.
So I basically got about $840,000 of funding for about 2 years until IBM finally figured out that I hadn't paid them. And I was able to say, well, within about 6 months or something, I was able to pay them all. But for almost 2 years, IBM didn't miss the money. I was able to fund the company. And nothing but God, sometimes you think you're so good, but you're not.
Yeah.
I think I'm fortunate that I've learned to figure that out. It's not me.
I have to ask this question. We both from Guyana.
Sure.
And there's just been a recent change in government and so on.
Yes.
If you had the ears of the president, or if they came to you for an idea or a concept, what would you want to implement?
First of all, I have to say I was fortunate to listen to the president's address to the United Nations today, and he knocked it out of the park, man.
He did?
I mean, the boy was on point.
Oh my gosh, I missed
He
it.
did a phenomenal job. Oh no, it was, the president was very forceful and made a very compelling statement. And we are very blessed to have him, I believe, as the president of the United States, the president of Guyana at this time. I actually had a chance to meet the Honorable Mr. Granger before he became president, and we had some conversations. And some of the things that were very important to him was education.
Yeah.
And he's on point because, look, when I came to the United States and I made the decision to go to college, I applied to one college, and that was Rutgers. And I remember I had a little job at Bamberger's, which was a subsidiary of Macy's back in North Jersey. And the manager there, when I told him that I was going to college because they were trying to give me a permanent job in the liquor department, it was like, no, you don't understand. I'm from QC. But anyhow, and so when I said, I'm going to school this January at Rutgers, he says, where else did you apply? I said, well, nowhere else. It's Rutgers. So what happens if you don't get in? I said, what do you mean if I don't get in? I'm from QC, I'm going to Rutgers. My point is that the level of academics and the mindset that we all were given as to who we are and who we can be, we've lost a lot of that generationally within Guyana today, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm not there, so I believe so. So when I hear our president talking about the need for, frankly, a rebirth and a focus on education and academics. I think that's terribly important. But along with that, obviously, entrepreneurship is massively necessary. We have so many problems and challenges, and wherever there's chaos and challenges, there's opportunity. And combined with those chaos and challenges, there's a tremendous amount of natural resources. So, you know, it really comes down to if there's, I personally believe a good president and good leadership is a great cheerleader. You sit on the sidelines, and when somebody does a good thing, you clap and you say, well done, you know, that's fantastic. And when somebody isn't doing the right thing, you know, you scold them and say, hold up, you know, that's not right. And so I don't believe in a whole lot of governmental intervention as such, but, you know, you set the parameters and the framework that allows the populace to be creative. And so, to me, those are the things that are important. Setting the right framework, focus on education and entrepreneurship. And with that, you know, I don't see why within 10, 15 years, you know, instead of people chasing Guyanese away from their borders, everybody will be running to Guyana. I believe that.
My last question for the evening. What makes you laugh out loud?
Oh man, it doesn't. I've said it before. It doesn't take much for me, and I'm an avid golfer, and I'll be playing golf, and I'll just see the sunrise, the sunset, the nature, and I'll laugh, realizing how lucky I am. So it really doesn't take much.
Neil, this has been a very delightful conversation, and I want to thank you for spending this time with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I look forward to chatting with you.
It's my pleasure.
Again, sometime soon. You know, I'm always learning something every time we have a conversation. I'm really humbled and honored. Thanks.
Well, as long as you call me Jonesy, we'll be all right.
Well, all right, Jonesy. All right, good. Thank you, man. That shouldn't be difficult. That's what we used to call it. So have a good one. All right.
You too. Take care. God bless.
God bless. This is Selwyn Collins saying, "Thank you for listening. Fear not what fear whispers to you. Fear your obedience to it." Good night.